So good evening everyone. Welcome to this Power Pack session which will go ahead with a discussion of today's question paper that you all have got in the morning. Today we'll be going with the discussions of the topic International Relation plus Indian Diaspora. So this is a very important topic which we generally refer it to be the IR, International Relations. So, সকলোকে মই এই সেশনটোলে স্বাগতম জনাইছো আমাৰ CSAP প্ল্যাটফৰ্মলে কোনোবা যদি নতুন ইয়াতে আজি জয়েন হৈছে I am also welcoming them to this platform where we will discuss about everything related to international relations with the type of questions that you have basically got in this respective exam. Okay, so we'll start with today's analysis with the first question, discussing the impact of political developments in West Asia on India's energy security and suggest ways to address these challenges. So the first question goes basically with the relations which is told to be India and its neighboring relations and India as well as its extended neighborhood relations. Today, India directly shares an extended neighborhood with the West Asia because obviously we do not share a border directly with this particular countries. So therefore, this area is told to be the part of India's extended neighborhood. So what was the question about? Discuss the impact of political developments in West Asia. Here, the question is associated with the developments which are political in nature, means the change of regime, okay, the type of systems that is present in this particular area. এই গোটেইখিনিকে আমি কি কৈ আছো political developments বুলি কৈ আছো. So discuss the impact of political developments in West Asia on India's energy security and suggest ways to address these challenges. Today we know that India has got a huge reliance on every associated energy requirements that is basically coming in from the West Asia, because West Asia are a group of countries where we know that they have a good reliance, they have a good hold over what? Oil, that is mainly the crude oil, natural gas reserves, etc. So therefore this question has been asked and therefore we are directly coming up with a model answer. So here when I say about the introductory part, West Asia is India's largest source of crude oil, accounting for more than 70% of India's total oil imports. Any geopolitical tensions, conflicts, or disruptions in oil producing countries like Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and UAE can lead to instabilities in the global oil market and affect the oil prices, which in turn can impact India's energy security. So we basically goes with the association of importing crude oil from areas or from countries like this, which you can see in your respective slides. So আমি কোনটোৰ পালো Iran, Iraq, then Saudi Arabia and the UAE, that is basically in the gradual. So আমি কাৰ পৰা সবতকে বেছি লওঁ ইৰাকৰ পৰা লওঁ, তাৰ পৰা লওঁ আমি ইৰানৰ পৰা, তাৰ পৰা লওঁ আমি সাউদি আৰবিয়াৰ পৰা, তাৰ পৰা লওঁ আমি UAE পৰা. So these are the major countries from where India directly imports oil from the West Asia. Okay, now next. So if I see about the political instabilities, কি কৈছে volatility in the Middle East. Why? Political instability and conflict in the region can lead to disruptions in oil supplies, causing spikes in global oil prices and affecting India's energy security. Today, since we are heavily dependent on the import of oil coming in from these regions, therefore I can directly say that in any form of disruptions, this area could be giving less oil to us, which obviously can lead to a situation of very good number of scarcity in a country like us, where we are fully dependent on import of crude oil because we do not have such number of reserves to directly supply our own needs. Okay, so therefore that may be the first point which you can write. Then dependence on imports. India's dependence on imported from West Asia markets is vulnerable to price volatility and supply disruptions, which can have a significant impact on the country's economy and energy security. Yes, if we are not dependent on the imports, then obviously at some point of time, this type of situations may have not arose. Today, any number of these interactions that we have with these countries, if they directly respond at some point of time, they will have a negative effect on a country like us, where we are basically dependent on the products coming in from this particular region. Okay, so A2 second point or class. Third point is competition for resources. So the increasing competition for energy resources in West Asia can lead to higher prices and greater competition for supplies, making it more difficult for India to secure the energy it needs. See, today we can see that West Asia ki hoye ase eta competition hoye ase. Supposedly today if I say about Iraq, today if I say about Iran, today if I see about other countries like UAE, they have got a competition, and this competition is basically harmful for a country like India, who is much dependent on this oil imports. So tahatar majo jete competition bahibo. Today we know about the conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia. One is basically the Shia dominated, another one is basically the Sunni dominated. So ami jano difference to ki hoye ase. Okay, so at this point of time we have to see that which are the relations that we have to keep and which are the relations we have to balance. That is the one understanding given on this particular point. Tarpot koa goise geopolitical tensions. See, geopolitical tensions between countries in the region and major energy importing countries, including India, can also affect energy security by creating uncertainty and instability in energy markets and potentially disrupting oil and natural gas supply. Today, even if I see about geopolitical tensions, today we even know that Sudan, basically an oil exporting country, is directly under crisis. So maybe at some point of time, these countries, if they suffer for any form of disruptions, this may directly hamper the balance of import that we are basically getting in from this particular countries. So etu karone geopolitical tensions is one of the another factor for why we have to be always concerned with. That's what goes changing global energy dynamics. So the changing energy dynamics, including the rise of alternative sources of energy and the decline of traditional oil producing countries, can also impact India's energy security. Today, if I have to say about the traditional energy sources, obviously it's the crude oil. Okay, but today at some point of time, every other country, even it includes India, even it includes China, every other country is today focused towards the renewable sources of energy, be it from sun, be it from wind, be it from water. So ebilak kori goi ase kun phale towards renewable source of energy and forgetting or having a less reliance on the imports like the crude oil. Even India, through the blending of ethanol, it is 10% hoye ase. At some point of time, it will be 20%, 30%, 40%. Or at a time of go like 100% ethanol based. 100% it is basically renewable sources. Even we have got schemes like the FAME, faster adoption of hybrid vehicles, modification of hybrid vehicles. Electric vehicles, okay, boosting that. Renewable source of energy logot besi ami rakhi asu. We are going with for various number of solar energy parks. So ebilak issues ki kori ase, it is directly changing the global energy dynamics, where people are today more and more reliant towards the renewable source of energy. So therefore, there are various measures to tackle the challenges to ensure energy security of India. Yat ki koribo pare? Diversifying energy sources. Supposedly today we do not have to depend only on the West. Today, India is directly focused also with Russia, also with African countries. Okay, so obviously you have to diversify your respective energy resources. That's what kiko ase. That's what koise strengthening indigenous energy production. Amar jikhini energy production ase. It may be a renewable source, it may be non-renewable source. Ekhinik ami ki koribo lagibo, strong koribo lagibo. Okay, we have to go for a strong energy reliance, particularly on oil and gas development. Okay, then we have to go for what? Enhancing energy efficiency. Increasing energy efficiency across the board will lower energy demand, lessen the effects of supply disruptions, and lessen the nation's reliance on foreign oil and gas. So, aji amar jikhini energy ase, সেই এনার্জি খিনিৰে এফিচিয়েন্সিটো বঢ়াব লাগিব once it gets higher we can directly say that yes it is on the correct path of going in for less reliance on imports and more on their own type of development that I can directly say to be very much of indigenous development which is also relating with the term Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay, so yeah, সেইখিনি কথা কোৱা হৈছে তাৰপিছত building strategic reserves, yes, to ensure that the nation has sufficient supplies in the event of interruptions in West Asia and to lessen the impact of increases in the price of the oil globally, strategic reserves of oil and gas are being built. Yes, one you can directly say it is in Maharashtra. So আমি বহুতখিনি oil আমি লৈ আহিছো where we can see that here this number of associations can be seen with respect to this strategic reserves. Okay, next, encourage private investments. Yes, to enhance domestic energy production and lessen reliance on imports, encourage private investments in the energy industry, particularly investments in renewable energy and the exploration or production of oil and gas. Okay, so yate basically model to kotha koi ase PPP, that is public private partnership. Okay, anyways, next one, energy efficient technology implementation. To lower energy consumption and increase energy security, energy efficient technology is being implemented such as smart grids, energy storage systems and electric vehicles. Okay, that is one of the element of implementation of some of the efficient technology which may even includes the renewable sources of energy. So lastly, you can directly go with the conclusion that India's energy security is closely tied to the political developments in West Asia and the country must take a strategic and proactive approach to address these challenges and secure its energy supplies. This may include diversifying its energy sources, developing domestic energy production and engaging in diplomatic efforts to ensure stability in this respective region. So এনেকেও যদি তোমালোকে লিখি দিয়া, if this is the type of questions you are directly framing, then obviously I can say that out of 10 marks you will definitely get the half. Okay, and you can get more than between 5 to 6 because that is the maximum mark that you are getting on a 10 marker question. Okay, chal, moving on to the next. Evaluate the impact of regional groupings such as SAARC and BIMSTEC on India's engagements with its neighbor and suggest ways to enhance their effectiveness. So today we know about SAARC, that is the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. So it's a grouping which includes the regions or countries of South Asia. Today I can say Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives are a part of this SAARC nations. Today because of a growing disputes and also a never-ending dispute between India and Pakistan, this SAARC as an organization is a toothless organization. Okay, so obviously at some point of time, even being an Indian, we also wanted that SAARC should be successful just like European Union. But yes, today it is a totally a failure because of the growing rivalry between two major countries in the SAARC, that is India and Pakistan. Okay, so that is with respect to SAARC, and one is this BIMSTEC, which basically is one of the policies to bypass the SAARC at some point of time. So obviously BIMSTEC does not consider BIMSTEC but কোন আছে Bangladesh আছে, India আছে, Myanmar আছে, Sri Lanka আছে, Thailand আছে, and all these countries economic cooperation is basically known to be the BIMSTEC. Okay, so therefore I can say that since 1990s when the Look East policy was transformed into the current Act East policy, there has been a constant shift in India's foreign policy. Even now with the promotion of BIMSTEC, it has significant impact on India's neighboring policy, both SAARC and BIMSTEC, because we can directly say that BIMSTEC is basically a replacement of SAARC. As because SAARC has got Pakistan, BIMSTEC does not has got Pakistan. So if we want to bypass Pakistan, it is through BIMSTEC. So kiho kane ahil? See, today this BIMSTEC is important because of the Middle East unrest. We all know, just now we have discussed, Middle East is also referred to as the West Asia. Okay, so then dependence on imports. Yes, we are very much dependent on imports coming in from the Middle East as well as some of the other areas. So hetu karone amak enuka type of organization lage. Then rivalry for resources. We all know that as West Asia energy resources come under greater pressure, prices could rise and there might be more rivalry for supplies. And this makes a very challenging situation for a country like India. Okay, so a point to likhibo para. Then geopolitical conflicts, which I already tell that by causing uncertainty and stability in the energy markets, geopolitical conflicts between countries in the region and big energy importers such as India can also have impact on energy security. Okay, so যিমানে কনফ্লিক্ট বাঢ়িব, যিমানে জিঅ'পলিটিকেল টেনশনছ বাঢ়িব, সিমানে কনফ্লিক্টছ বেছি হোৱা চান্সেছ থাকে, আৰু যেতিয়া কনফ্লিক্টছ বাঢ়ি যাব অবভিয়াছলি মানুহৰ বা কাণ্ট্ৰিজ ইণ্টাৰেষ্টবিলাকো চেঞ্জ হ'বলৈ ধৰে। অ'কে, so measures to tackle the challenges to ensure security of India, diversifying energy resources, মই আগতেও ক'লো যিমানে আমি ডাইভাৰ্চিফাই কৰিম সিমানে আমাৰ এনাৰ্জি ৰিচোৰ্চবোৰ ষ্টেবিলাইজ হৈ থাকিব। অ'কে, যেনেকৈ আজি ৱেষ্ট এছিয়াৰ পৰা আমি ডাইভাৰ্ট কৰি পেলাই ক'ত বেছিকৈ লৈ আছোঁ, ৰাছিয়া। অ'কে, ডাইভাৰ্চিফাইং ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট, ষ্ট্ৰেংথেনিং ডমেষ্টিক এনাৰ্জি প্ৰডাকশ্যন, যিমানে আমাৰ নিজৰ প্ৰডাকশ্যন থাকিব সেইখিনি আমি ষ্ট্ৰেংথেন কৰিব লাগিব। Then improving energy efficiency, okay, then enhancing diplomatic efforts. Yes, today what S. Jaishankar, our Minister of External Affairs, is doing. Okay, he is engaging directly to the whole world with a very bold statements that directly reflects India's attitude towards the world today and India's attitude being a leader. Okay, in this coming times. Next, so this is the final point that you can write because it's a 150 words marker question. India must adopt a strategic and proactive stance to solve these issues and safeguard its energy supplies because its energy security is directly related to the political developments in West Asia. So you can directly write via this respective conclusions. Okay. Anyways, next one. Critically examine the aims and objectives of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. What importance does it hold for India? This directly came into prominence because there was a particular meeting that happened between India as well as SCO defense ministers. Okay, where even you have seen Rajnath Singh ji directly shaking hands with each and our other defense minister, but it is not with respective to the Chinese defense minister. Okay, Chinese defense minister our ki korile, namaste korile. Okay, but baki sobor logote defense minister lor ki korise, shake hands korise. Okay, obviously there was no solution coming on from this particular discussion, but still সেইকাৰণে এই কুৱেশ্যনটো সিন্স বছৰ SCO নিউজত আছিলে সেইটো কাৰণে this question directly came into prominence. Okay, chalo study with the next question. Sorry, this question created in 2001. You have to just introduce first what is SCO. Created in 2001, it was just at the aim to koilla. Okay, India became a permanent member of SCO in 2017, aiming to maintain peace, security and stability in the region. Okay, so এইখিনি বস্তু আমি ইন্ট্ৰোডাকশনত কৈ ল'ব লাগে। তাৰপিছত SCOৰ মেইন aim to ক'ব লাগিব যে SCO aims to strengthen relations among member states, but India, Pakistan, Russia, China relations create a complex matrix of diverging and conflicting interests. কিহৰ কাৰণে? Today we know that India and Russia is in a good relationship. Okay, Pakistan and China is in a good relationship. But at some point of time, India and China is at bad relationship. And also at some point of time, Pakistan and Russia is also having a bad relationship. Okay, and baki to iska kya hi kahun? India, Pakistan, they are always, and I can directly say they are evergreen bad relations. Okay, tar matlab ki hoy? Russia and China, they are having good relations. So this is the type of complexities that you can see with this respective relations. আৰু এই কমপ্লেক্সিটিৰ মাজতে ফচি থাকে কি this particular organization which is known to be SCO. কাৰণ বাকি যিবিলাক মেম্বাৰ কান্ট্ৰিজ আছে কাজাকিস্তান, তাজিকিস্তান and all these countries, they are not at all bordered with all this particular number of conflicts. They are to safeguard their own interest. No doubt, these countries are also safeguarding their own interest. But at some point of time, these conflicts may give some of a platform to discuss each and every international issues. Supposedly today a domestic issue of Jammu and Kashmir is discussed by Pakistan in this international platform, that is of Kashmir. So Pakistan khali ki janile Kashmir janile jibon. Okay, Kashmir bahire beleg ko na jane Pakistan. Okay, so that is the criteria why we have to see about this particular relations which create a complex matrix of diverging and conflicting interests. Okay, to illustrate, China has shown little respect when international rule-based order, checkbook and world warrior diplomacy, human rights violations, etc. raise fundamental questions on Chinese commitments, okay, to the aims and objectives of SCO. Then, moreover, under the guise of economic cooperation, China has pushed into Belt and Road Initiative projects through SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Likewise, SCO seeks to safeguard regional peace, security and stability, but China in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Ladakh, Russia in Ukraine and Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir are accused of destabilizing regional peace, security and stability. So এইবিলাক accuse বহুত থাকে with respective to this particular organization. For why? These people are not at all having a good type of conduct inside even the SCO. Okay, so but importance of SCO for India is what? SCO is a part of India's stated policy of pursuing multi-alignment and strategic autonomy. Because today we see that through this SCO, we can directly have a good relation with the Central Asian nations. That includes Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, okay, Tajikistan, okay, Uzbekistan, okay. So all these countries, okay, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, okay. So all these countries who are a part of these Central Asian countries, these 5 nations, okay, these 5 nations can have a broader cooperation so that they could be easily been accessible towards a country like India. So as is India, Zudi Eta is Central Asian, because we know that Central Asian countries are what? They are totally landlocked countries. Landlocked countries. They do not have got any access to the open seas. And therefore we can see that these particular countries are connected by a South Asian country which is known as Afghanistan. Okay, so at some point of time, Afghanistan has got direct boundaries with India via the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Then at some point of time, we can directly connect via Afghanistan towards the Central Asian nations, which are energy rich nations. Energy rich bulikum, that means today we are diversifying our interest to make more and more number of crude oil coming in from these regions like Central Asia, which also has got a good region of natural gas reserves. So that is one of the important criteria why we need to diversify the relations with respect to an organization like SCO. Okay, then regional SCO allows India to deepen its strategic reach in Central Asia. Then also we can see SCO's counterterrorism body, the regional anti-terror structures, RATS, may prove useful for India in this context, because we know that amongst the members of the SCO, someone or the other is directly financing the terror elements, be it through state actors or be it through the non-state actors. I can directly refer it to be countries in the west and to the north of India. Okay, so this is one of the major criteria. Then you have to say that SCO membership will also help India, which currently boxed in the South Asian region, to become a major pan-Asian player. SCO যদি আমি cooperation করো, then obviously India's image to be a major player in this Asian context will also glorify. Then SCO can play a vital role in deepening people-to-people engagements through cooperation in the field of education, medicine, tourism, etc. আজি আমাৰ ওচৰত কি নাই? We have got education, though it is very less, but still we have got at least in comparison to Pakistan. Pakistan কিন্তু বহুত বেশি ভালো আছে. Then if I have to say about medicine, okay, we are today the world's pharmacy. We are today known to be the pharmacy of the world. Then we have got a good scope in tourism sector. We have got 3 to 4 number of biological hotspots in our country. We have got various number of destinations. Amata ki ase? If you want to visit desert, you can find both desert, hot to pai jaba, cold to pai jaba. Okay, then if I wants to visit mountains, yes, you can go and see the Himalayas. If I wants to visit islands, yes, you can go to Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep. If I wants to visit the hilly areas like Northeast, yes, you can go and visit these areas. If I want to see the plains, go for Ganga and Brahmaputra plains. You can go for that. If you want to visit coastal areas, yes, you can go and visit the coastal areas. 7516.6 kilometer of coastline we have got. So obviously we have got everything, and that can boost the tourism sector of our country. It may be religious. If you visit various number of religious or cultural areas, historical areas, that are also present in India. So therefore we have got a good boost towards this particular sector, which is known as tourism. Okay, so yate ami hetu focus korabo paro. So therefore India's relation with countries in the region have enormous potential for enhancing ties in areas such as economy, security, policy, investment, trade, connectivity, energy and capacity building. However, India's benefits from the SCO will be limited due to the role of China and Pakistan in the organization, and positive outcomes will depend on how India's diplomacy deal with its rival. So this is the type of confusion that you need to have when you are directly framing an answer with respect to IR. Okay, so this is just the type of model conclusion. You may directly change your conclusion according to the types that you are directly required. Okay, just a second, I will look with the messages. Okay. Next, India has glorious track record in helping the diaspora in distress. Do you agree? Substantiate with the help of suitable examples. Keep home. Today, we know about these things. Okay, these things is a very common thing today. Okay, we can see about Operation Kaveri, which is recently going on. Where? In Sudan. Because there was a clash between the army as well as the paramilitary. So basically, the president and vice president or mazat tahator kaija solise. Who will achieve the post? So that is the type of crisis, and therefore various number of Indian citizens are directly being trapped. So yate ki koa ase? According to the Global Migration Report 2022, India is the largest country of origin of international migrants and received remittances worth around 3% of its GDP. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so 3% around 2.9% hoy, but overall jodi moi kobo jao 3% dekhoise. ठीक है? So that is very important. Then you can see that India has the largest diaspora population of the world with 18 million people from the country living outside their homeland in 2022. According to a report by the United Nations, UAE, US and Saudi Arabia host the largest number of migrants from India. Very, very important. They help the country in various ways, sending remittances, investment, lobbying for India, soft power sharing Indian culture, example Bollywood, yoga system, etc. Good reputation by working with their intellect in their other countries, and despite their valuable contributions, they have been susceptible and vulnerable to many problems like harassment, unhealthy work conditions, poorly enforced contracts, racism, stuck in war zones, etc. Okay, so it has moi koi asilo Operation Kaveri. So it ki hoy stuck in war zones. Okay, so that is one of the criteria. So obviously India has taken up considerable efforts in coming to the rescue whenever in need. So evacuation efforts in the war zones, ki hobo Operation Rahat, very important. For Isla Yemen, okay, our rate of Isla during this Yemen Saudi War in 2015. Okay, next Operation Sankat Mochan, by Indian Air Force to rescue Indian diaspora during the Sudan crisis in 2006. It was 2016 or 82, recently sold. Okay, we are due to the conflict between the country's army and paramilitary. So obviously Sudan of Tekia 2016 to it same was to repeat 2023, which is basically between the respective military and the paramilitary forces. That's Operation Ganga Kotha is evacuation arrived by the Indian government to rescue its citizens in neighboring countries during the 2022 Russia invasion of Ukraine. Okay, jar anniversary recently ami event palibulu. ठीक है सर? So Operation Ganga. So एखिनि किछुमान आमार बस्तु थाके एटा बस्तु आमार एग्जांपल of दिबले ভাল হয়. ठीक है सर? Then also social media outreach. Social media has provided a platform of the diaspora to immediately bring notice to the problem they have been facing in their country. So former Sushma Swaraj ji बहुत active asile quote Twitter, transforming Twitter into a helpline by providing aid to Indian students, elderly people and workers working in the Gulf per se. Okay, and not only in the Gulf, Pakistan occupied Kashmir also बहुत kini help kora goisile to everyone who is basically living in these particular locations and wants to travel to India for various number of checkups or for education also. So she helped a lot. Okay, she was a great person who helped and who revolutionized this Twitter into aid providing zone. Okay, then community welfare funds under MEA to help diaspora in distress. Yes, then we can see one other program which is basically known to be Madad. Okay, Madad mane ki hoy? Madad is basically Ministry of External Affairs in aid of diaspora in distress. So it's a consular grievances redressal system. Etu kami ki koi aso Madad boli koi aso. Then providing legal and financial help to women deserted by their spouse abroad, or etu and a familiar case asile quote Chandip Kaur, okay, who has been betrayed by a person who was basically from a region like Canada, who moved to New Zealand, and now she is directly wanting justice with her. So it was a situation asile which we have seen in the recent times. Then India signed social security arrangements with many countries to bring the citizens living abroad under social security net of host country. Okay, next COVID-19 assistance, Vande Bharat mission, bringing back stranded Indian people amidst lockdown restrictions from various countries. Swadesh portal by MEA, skill mapping exercise for returning Indians so that they can be provided employment back home. Operation Dost, India has recently launched Operation Dost to extend assistance to Turkey and Syria, the nation hit by an intense 7.9 magnitude earthquake. It is recent for how. So this is how India tries to be with the citizens, emancipating responsibility, and thus India not only advocates but also follows in the footsteps of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that is, the whole world is a family, which is also a tagline of the recent G20 summit that will be held in India in around September 23. Okay, so etu eta enake type or jodi ami eta conclusion di plan koru, that will be more helpful for us to get some of the good marks. Next, the long sustained image of India as a leader of the oppressed and marginalized nations has disappeared on account of its newfound role in the emerging global order. Elaborate. So see, India was regarded as the post-international War II era and third international leader who spoke out the rights of oppressed and unprecedented nations. So yate amar etu karone ami ki korisilu non-aligned movement. Very important. Okay, so that karone for the third world nations. So obviously, with the emergence of multipolar world and India's rise as an economic power, India has taken on a new role in the emerging global order. So key examples of India's role includes key International Solar Alliance (ISA), definitions like Sailuba, Rahat, Operation Rahat, evacuation of citizens from other countries. Okay, next, strategic forums, MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. Okay, UNSC, NSG, ebilakor ami permanent membership sai asu. Okay, then Indo-Pacific. Today we are directly changing the role of Asia-Pacific into Indo-Pacific. Okay, then ISRO and space activities. I mean, as a cooperation for you, supposedly today, if I have to see about Aditya L1, which is a sun mission, we are directly collaborating with whom? The NASA. So then again, I mean, both collaboration for you, even in space satellites. So therefore, India's new leader position in the developing international order is a result of its expanding influence on the world arena and burgeoning economy. The nation is now regarded as a responsible global participant, and the rest of the world closely monitors its action. So India's evolution into a leader into the multipolar world from a leader of the oppressed and marginalized countries is evidence on its increasing significance of international arena. So ekini amar cause asile with respect to this question. Next is on AUKUS is the most significant multilateral defense partnership in generations. Comment. So AUKUS ki hoye jay? AUKUS is basically a security alliance between the countries like United States, United Kingdom, and Australia. Okay, very important. US, UK, and Australia. Okay, so it's like AU, Australia, KUS. Okay, Australia, UK, and US. AUKUS. Okay, that includes, which is a strategic dialogue between four countries that includes India, the US, Australia, and Japan. It is on the lines of Quad. Okay. So without a doubt, the AUKUS Accords represent a substantial advancement. Key aims: it aims to enhance the country's cooperation. Okay, defense or coordination technology, intelligence. Okay, combines three of the most potent and cutting-edge military forces ever assembled. Okay, that means the Army, Navy, as well as Air Force of these particular countries. Then it highlights the Indo-Pacific region's growing importance in global affairs. Yes, that's a good one. Obviously, because we know that Indo-Pacific region is the next sea area where such number of engagements every country would directly needs to hold. As India ko lagibo, Australia ko lagibo, South Africa ko lagibo, Canada ko lagibo, so lagibo. So this is the growing importance in this global affairs. Then the power balance in the world has changed significantly as a result of this AUKUS pact. So a key move that will strengthen Australia's defense capabilities and enable it to play a bigger role in the region is the US and UK's decision to share their nuclear submarine technology with it. Because we know Australia does not have got a nuclear submarine. So today US and UK is actually sharing their technology so that they can counter their lone enemy over here in this region, that is in Indo-Pacific, that is of China. Okay, so therefore the AUKUS Agreement is a major development in the realm of multilateral defense partnership, and through this potential it will shape the strategic contours of maritime Asia. Okay, so ekini asile regional security upor about the Indo-Pacific. Next, discuss the role of WHO in global food safety. Very static questions. Okay, data pura diya ase how the WHO plays a crucial role in global food safety. Discuss about the primary role of it. Provide leadership and coordinate international efforts to prevent, detect, and respond to food safety issues. Okay, then here, what are the type of strategies that they are taking, and what are the types of practices that they are taking to make this world free from any form of hunger? So hey, bostu khini yate likha goise ba koa goise. So that is with respect to Food and Agriculture Organization to produce international food safety standards, guidelines, and codes of practice It provides independent scientific assessments on microbiological and chemical hazards through Codex Alimentarius. Okay, this is type of codes that are easy to detect through chemical and microbiological. Also, in accordance with the international health regulation, it promotes the incorporation of food safety into national policies and programs, because today this basically works. If I say about India, it works with the National Food Security Act 2013. Okay, so tar logot kaam kore. So teneke national policy logot tahate nijoke mili aile. Through the use of FAO, WHO Food Control System Assessment Tool, it evaluates the effectiveness of national food control system across the entire food chain, identifies development priorities, and tracks and evaluates advancements over time. Very important. Next, WHO provides technical support and capacity building to member states to strengthen their food safety system. As jodi amar food safety system to beya hol then kune aji amar provide korile then technical assistance. It is basically this WHO. So hetu kotha koa goise. Then WHO evaluates the security of novel food production technologies, including genetic modification, grown foods, and nanotechnology. WHO monitors and reports on food safety issues, and therefore the Food Safety Authorities Network, that is known as the International Food Safety Authorities Network, known as InfoSan, is also one of the very important areas through which such number of emergencies could be dealt upon. So therefore today WHO updates the WHO Global Strategy for Food Safety 2022-2030 to strengthen their food control systems and reduce the burden of foodborne diseases. Okay, so that is with respect to this organization, and through this respective food safety keneke kore, keneke animal health organize, keneke program cooperate kore. Saying all this, you have to conclude this particular statement. Okay, it's a direct question. Okay, very much static. What are the various pillars of cooperation between India and Israel? Yes, very good question. बहुत धुनिया क्वेश्चन है. India and Israel partnership. যদি আজি মই India and Israel বুলি কওঁ, then we directly say that every type of comment that will come with respect to India and Israel হ'ব long live India Israel relationship. Okay, because today we know that Indians does not support Palestinians. India even support no for Palestine, because Palestine has hardly helped India, and also Palestine raises in some point of time the Kashmir issues, which India obviously does not like. क्योंकि कश्मीर हमारा है, कश्मीर हमारा था, कश्मीर हमारा है और कश्मीर हमारा ही रहेगा. It's an अटूट हिस्सा of India, अटूट हिस्सा. It's basically one of the very important criteria and one of the very important element of our as a country. So therefore, that is the system why we support Israel much. So India and Israel have studied and engineering and strengthening their relationship since its commitment on diplomatic relations in 1992. Here are some of the key pillars of cooperation between India and Israel. India Israel select correct defense and security. Obviously, we are going with various number of technologies and defense equipments and all other activities. Okay, then we could see that agriculture. Yes, Israelis have got expertise in technologies that are widely used in India, mainly in dairy and water sector. Okay, then science and technology cooperation. Okay, you can see about this I4D, India Israel Initiative for Industries, Rural Research and Development, and their specific projects. Clean Ganga, Israel offered Korisla India management of. Then trade and investments. Israeli businesses have made investment in India in the area of energy, renewable energy, communications, real estates, and water technologies. Very important. Okay, then cultural exchange. One of the few countries to offer asylum to the persecuted Jewish population was India. So India too has a Jewish population. It is in West Bengal and Maharashtra, and they are recognized as minorities in this particular area. So over 85,000 Jews from India reside in Israel. Indian tourists visit Israel annually with a record of 70,000 visiting in 2017. And Air India's faster direct flights between New Delhi and Tel Aviv, which is basically their capital, are expected to continue this trend. Okay. So recently there has been a controversy with respect to this capital. So I being Indian, I will say that Israel's capital is Tel Aviv. But if I would have been a person from US, I would have said that yes, Israel capital is Jerusalem. Okay, but for us it is Tel Aviv because we have got a consulate office over there. Then political ministerial level exchange between India and Israel have been frequent with MOUs and agreements signed on areas of cybercrime, energy cooperation, film production, etc. Okay, so Abilak Amar India Israel logot main relationship. Also, we have got relations with terms of medicine, space investments, etc. Then space cooperation of mainly Israel's Texar and Reset 2 radar imaging satellites were successfully launched by India from the ISRO polar satellite launch vehicle, which is known as the PSLV. Okay, then economic cooperations of precious stones, metals, minerals, chemicals. Then also a free trade agreement was signed in 2010 between India and Israel. And during the pandemic in 2020, India exported 5-ton shipment of medicine and drugs to this particular country. Then also we have got factors with tourism. India and Israel are committed to combating tourism in all its forms and manifestations. India-Israel statements underscore the need to ensure that terrorist organizations do not get access to any technologies which are mainly banned under the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. So today, if I need to focus on this particular country, আজি Palestine পৰা Israel যিখিনি difficulties পাই আছে, the same thing is happening with India and Pakistan. So আজি পাকিস্তানৰ পৰা সেইখিনি difficulties পাই আছো. So terrorists, basically if I say about the Gaza strips, well, I can say about various number of Palestinian terrorists. So সেইখিনি দিগদাৰি কাক দি থাকে, ইজৰাইলক দি থাকে, আৰু আমাক দি থাকে কোনে, Pakistan based terrorist. Okay, so that is the overall relationship. And again, last one, it is possible that their cooperation will get stronger as both nations continue to develop. So again, lastly, conclusion D and okay, next. Evaluate the economic and strategic dimensions of India's Act East policy. So 1990s or 1990s or look this policy. Look East policy. আৰু 2014 এটো চেঞ্জ হৈ পেলাই আমি কি কৰিলো, Act East policy. Okay, so that is one of the important criteria why we have to focus on this particular aspect. So India's Act East policy launched in 12th Asian India Summit in 2014 held in Myanmar aims to enhance India's engagement with the countries in the Asia Pacific region, particularly the ASEAN countries. So ASEAN countries বুলি কোৱা লগে আমি কি বুঝো, ASEAN is a group of 10 countries. ASEAN is a group of 10 countries, including Myanmar, Thailand, okay, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, okay. So the policy is based on 4 C's: culture, commerce, connectivity, and capacity building. Also, we have got a good cultural relation with these countries, Janmami, okay. The Buddhism is mainly spread in this particular region, mainly from India. So culture important hoy, then commerce important hoy, connectivity important hoy, and lastly capacity building important hoy. So what are the economic dimensions? Mainly trade. Monthly trade kori aso from $5.8 billion in 93-94 to around $87.96 billion in 2019-20, and therefore India is now the 4th largest trading partner of ASEAN. Next, investment. India has relaxed its FDI norms in various sectors, including that things that has been mentioned, defense, construction, and retail. Okay, so that kind of both bahigol. This particular region is very much important for the growth in the India's northeast region. Okay, then connectivity. India is developing the Kaladan multimodal project, which will provide connectivity between the northeastern states of India and the Sipir port in Myanmar. India is also working on the trilateral highway project, Re-Tedim road project, and constructing border huts, okay, which will be in cooperation with the border post that we have today in our country and association with the other country of the South Asian states. Okay, so that time amar ekhon India Myanmar friendship gate ase, Indo-Myanmar friendship gate, okay, that you can find basically in Manipur, okay, in the regions like More. Okay, so এইবিলাক আছে আমাৰ লগত cooperation হ'ব. So strategic dimensions কিহৰ কাৰণে important হয় Southeast Asia? Security. জানো আমি Indonesia, Strait of Malacca, where it is located, it's proximally setting. The region of Strait of Malacca is very important to counter every forms of activities happening within China and India. Regional stability, যেতিয়ালৈকে Southeast Asia এখন বেছি violent হৈ থাকে, obviously it will have a great impact on countries like India. Then we can see strategic partnership. Yes, we have got countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and Singapore who are basically in a partnership to have good strategic relations in terms of economy, in terms of security, in terms of defense. Okay. Then India's access policy has both economic and strategic dimensions, which are aimed at enhancing India's engagement with the ASEAN countries and other Asia Pacific countries. So the country must revamp its policy in such a way that its soft power enhances in the Southeast Asian region, and this will produce multiplier effect in achieving the intended objectives of the Act East policy. So that is the type of conclusion that you need to have in this particular lines. Next question to Ram. Discuss the Brahmaputra issue between India and China. Okay, so Brahmaputra river on ki hoy koi loba. Okay, and why this river is important for this region? Hetu lagil olop koi loba. Then India and China have been engaged in a dispute over Brahmaputra river since the 1950s, and the main point of contention of China's construction dams and hydropower projects on this particular river has impacted the flow of Brahmaputra river in the downstream countries like India as well as even Bangladesh. Okay, so China has maintained that its project on the Brahmaputra river are for peaceful purposes and would not have any adverse impact on downstream countries. But India tends to play a lower apparent card to gain sympathy from its domestic political constituencies, especially from Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, because the Brahmaputra river basically flows through these two basic regions. Assam and Arunachal Pradesh are बहुत कम flow है, but mainly कौन flow है Assam. Okay, so that is one of the major river, and we all know about the importance of river Brahmaputra for us. So in recent year, India and China have attempted to ease the tensions over the Brahmaputra river. In 2018, the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding after Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar raised the issue with his Chinese counterpart, and China agreed to share hydrological data during the monsoon season every year. However, both disputes have frequently cast a shadow over such agreements. So kiba ta bhalo bo gole hoday kiba ta beya hoye jay, and we all know about the Chinese engagement. China kotha ami bhalke jano, how China cannot directly tolerate the progress made by the other countries. So over in every point of time, we can see China has gone with its over-expansionist policy, which has made this type of relations and agreements obviously toothless agreements. Okay, then China and Bangladesh are collaborating more on water-related matters. China charges India almost $1,25,000 for the data it transfer, yet it sends same data to Bangladesh for free. Okay, because they know that Bangladesh is strategically important for this country. So China has been looking into the prospect of rerouting the river through a significant engineering project known as South North Water Transport Project in a perched northern regions. Okay, so yarata arata aji bhabi ase je China keneke Brahmaputra river kon jikon roila, for example, if supposedly if this is India, okay, so all the way it is directly coming and entering into India like this. Okay, so এই যিখিনি area or Tibetan portion, this is very a drought area because of the presence of the Himalayas. So rains বিলাক এফালে গৈ নাপায়, সব এখিনি পৰি যায় আৰু এফালে নহয়, so এখিনি এটা drought area হয়. So they want to reroute this particular river towards this particular area so that their Tibetan region directly is more engaged with a good number of water resources. Okay, then the Brahmaputra issue remains a contentious one between India and China. The two countries will need to continue their dialogue for the interest of both countries as well as the downstream effects on other countries. So both countries must work together to have a sustainable solution out of this particular dispute. Conclusion. Next, how will I2U2 help India to get the advantage to deepen engagement with Israel without risking its ties with the UAE and other Arab states? So I2U2 বুলি ক'লে কি বুলি বুজি পাওঁ? India, Israel, United Arab Emirates and the US. Okay, so এটুক আমি কি কৈ আছো? I2U2 often known as the West Asian Quad. All of the আগতে মই কৈছিলো about quad বুলি ক'লে আমি কি বুজি পাওঁ? Japan, India, US and Australia. Okay, so এখিনিত আমাৰ আহি যায় কি? It's basically the quad members. So এটু কি হৈ যায়? এটু এটা West Asian Quad বা New Quad বুলি ধৰিলো. Okay, so এটু আমাৰ আহিছে ইণ্ডিয়াৰ এগেইনষ্ট ইণ্ডিয়াৰ এটা acronym দিয়া গৈছে. Then we can see it's an acronym representing these countries, and the organization was conceived in October 2021 while the four countries foreign ministers were meeting in Israel, and the newly formed organization is referred as a multilateral platform for economic cooperation. And what is the primary goal of the coalition is to forge connections that go beyond intergovernmental collaborations. That means I can directly say it to be more friendlier relations, data share kora. Okay, even আজি যদি কোনবা এজন ক্রিমিনাল আমার পৰা ইসরায়েললৈ পঠাই যায় বা পলাই যায়, so তাৰ পৰা আমি টাকাকো ৰিট্ৰিভ কৰা. So all these are known as to be someone going beyond intergovernmental collaborations. So what is the aim? This is the aim that has been given. Discussion through shared areas of mutual interest. Then you can see mutually nations have determined 6 areas of cooperation. Kungita area: water, energy, transportation, space, health and food security. Very important. Kiki: water, energy, transportation, space, health and food security. So the nations will work to modernize infrastructures, investing in low carbon development avenues for industries, enhance public health and support the development of vital emerging and green technologies with the aid of private sector capital and expertise. So how this summit is significant for India? Because India directly shares a good relations with these countries like US as well as Israel, and India also has got a good relations with countries like UAE. Okay, so I2U2 also presents India with an opportunity to play a global leadership role alongside US while keeping its strategic autonomy and the national interest intact. So India and countries in West Asia have maintained ad hoc bilateral relations, and this alliance makes a first in the merging of ties with the countries in West Asia, and additionally, the Abraham Accord offers the benefit of continuing to cooperate with Arab countries. Okay, so in type of accords যিবিলাক আমাৰ sign কৰা গৈছিলে at some point of time becomes very beneficial when we are dealing with countries of this particular West. Okay, so ইয়াতে engaging relations কথা কৈছে. So আজি advantage কি হয়? It enables the expansion and improvement of the already friendly political and economic relations. তাৰপিছত IDU will closely resemble the general policy objectives of India in areas like water, transportation and health, improving the fundamental societal and physical infrastructures, and the three pillars of India's Old West policy were the Sunni Gulf monarchy, Israel and Iran. Okay, so Sunni Gulf monarchy jete kar kotha koi ase, here I can directly say it to be the United Arab Emirates as well as countries like Saudi Arabia. Okay, ekhane ki hoy Sunni, Iran ki hoy Shia, and also Israel, who has got contest with both the Shias as well as the Sunnis. Okay, so ekhane ke koa goise enhancing collaboration areas like this one, this I2 can be more successful. So yete ami directly eta conclusion diya goise. Okay, chalo coming to the next question. At a time when Pakistan is facing a severe economic crisis, what should be India's strategy towards Pakistan? Do you think that Pakistan call for dialogue and engagement should be taken on a serious note by India? Critically comment. Okay, very interesting question, very important also. So yate koa goise about undoubtedly Pakistan has been experiencing its worst economic crisis amidst food shortages, flash floods and poverty. According to the State Bank, Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves last week dropped to $4.3 billion, the lowest level since February 2014. Hence, Pakistan has called for dialogue with India. Okay, so iti ami recently dekhisilu je how the defense minister, okay, he was to visit the Pakistani defense minister. He was to visit the SCO summit, but he has not visited. Okay, but let's see if the external affairs minister is basically coming or not. Okay, because of this particular summit. So let's see in the coming times. So Pakistan economy has reached all-time low. Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, has requested serious and sincere talks with Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, regarding burning points like Kashmir. Okay, jitu bostu ami ketio nokoru. Okay, ki kole ki hobo? Ami etu ketio nokoru. Okay, because Kashmir hamara hai, hamara rahega. Okay, so this is one of the area. So after 3 wars with India, Mr. Sharif claimed that Pakistan has learned its lesson and was now seeking peace with its neighbor. Obviously, it is up to us whether we consistently go for our relations and squander time and money. So the Pakistan Prime Minister office, however, underlined in a series of tweets that PM Sharif had stated negotiations with India will only be feasible when the neighboring reverses the repeal of Article 370 because we know that Article 370 hawk, Jammu and Kashmir hawk, Article 35A hawk, everything is basically an internal matter of India. Okay, so that is the things that we have to discuss in this particular question. Okay, so yate koa goise that why should India resume talks? Because what does India get in return? Because if the LOC becomes a soft border, India's two-front war strategy and a cold start doctrine against the Pakistan army, which has not been wargamed, will not be put to test. So the Jammu and Kashmir territory will achieve normalcy and the Indian army can reduce counter-terror operations. Okay, jitu amar horai goi thake. Okay, and recently even some 3 to 4 jawans has recently got martyred aru jar karone Rashtriya Rifles hola tate active goi thake. Okay, so resuming the dialogue will substantially reduce the India's army strength, and with ensuring savings, India could invest in the emerging dual-use technologies. Therefore, if understood from this perspective, peace with Pakistan will be a win-win not only for the two nations but also for the region as well. And definitely, like today, if the Pakistan as a country directly wants to have a good relationship with India, and after even India's engagements, if this particular habit directly comes into prominence, then obviously it will be a win-win situation for not only those two countries but also for this whole region. A good regional SARC again will be established, and also this region will be more peaceful as compared to any other regions of the world. So hetu karone ei bostu amak lage. Chalo, moving on to this next question. What are the key milestones in the 75-year diplomatic relationship between India and Thailand? Discuss how can both nations leverage this relationship to enhance their strategic partnership in the future. So yate just briefly about ki kobo lage je what is the basic relations between India and Thailand. So that question, Iman relationship that dates back to over 2000 years. 2022, the two nations celebrated the completion of 75 years of diplomatic relations. India and Thailand have deepened their engagement in several areas, including trade, defense, culture, and people-to-people ties. So this milestone provides an opportunity to reflect on the achievements of this relationship and explore ways to deepen cooperation in the future. Okay, so here are key milestones: Active policy, then bilateral institutional mechanisms, joint commission meeting, okay, যিবিলাক আমাৰ foreign ministers লগত হয় with respective to the defense minister, foreign minister, okay, ইয়াতে হয় আমাৰ. Then foreign office consultations, 5th India Thailand foreign office consultations were held in Bangkok in 2019. That's a good step. Joint task force, fourth meeting of the joint task force on maritime cooperation between India and Thailand was held in 2021 in a virtual mode, okay. Then multilateral cooperation, both countries cooperate closely in the ASEAN East Asia Summit and Bay of Bengal initiative for multilateral sector technical and economic cooperation, BIMSTEC, okay, where Thailand is also a member. Then we have also got cooperations like the Mekong Ganga Cooperation, Asia Cooperation Dialogue, India Ocean Rim Association, IORA, okay. Then also we have got the Ayeyarwady Chao Phraya Mekong Economic Cooperation Strategy, which is known as ACMECS. So A strategy khini kotha ami likhiboi lagibo, that is one of the very important part of this particular question, okay. So yate defense cooperation ki hoy kobo lagibo ami etu mainly importantly, okay. Then we can see about the exercise Maitri and exercise Cobra Gold, okay, that is the relations with the Indian Army as well as the Indian Navy. Then economic and commercial partnership of US 9.76 billion in 2020, okay. Then connectivity, India Myanmar Thailand trilateral highway, okay, one of the very important one, okay. Then aims to connect Moraine India with Mysore in Thailand via Myanmar. Then India Myanmar Thailand railway, okay. Cultural cooperation, that is Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, very important one, okay. So ekhini kotha jodi ami koi diu with the respective universities that we are trying to have a cooperation with, then this will directly enhance the relations that you are basically assuming between India and Thailand, okay. So there are various number of strategies through which we are directly enhancing this particular ties, okay. So here could take any point more directly share kori thoi ase, okay, how we could directly increase the ties and how we could have a good cooperation between countries of a part or which is directly a part of the Southeast Asia, okay. So conclusion of directly and level, the 75-year diplomatic relationship between India and Thailand has been marked by several key milestones, and both nations have taken steps to enhance their relationship by leveraging every steps towards the stability and cooperation in this region, okay. So any kata yar pora ta model answer model conclusion mo likhi disu, yar pora all of sort of loi pelai you can directly claim an answer and can end this answer in 3 to 4 lines, okay. Chalo, assess the effectiveness of economics sanctions as a tool for achieving foreign policy objectives. Yes, very good question. So economic sanctions ki hoy, first to define kori dila, okay, very importantly, okay. Then you can see that what are the advantages of economic sanctions. Cost effective, yes, sanctions can be relatively cost effective tool compared to military actions or other forms of coercions. Military jodi moi besi invasions kori diu, then obviously mur bahut toka lagibo, to hetu karone moi military di pla besi engagements koriboi noru, so yate cost effective hoy jay. Then ki hoy jay, target specific country, eta country moi target koribo paru aru he country moi totally borbad kori dibo paru through economic collapse. Then the sanctions had a significant impact on Iran's economy and led the negotiations that resulted in the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. So the economy to borbad hoy jay, obviously the country cannot directly survive and therefore it comes into agreements. So obviously you can see provide international support. Sanctions can be a way of railing international support and creating a united front against the targeted country. Supposedly today the sanctions that have happened with respect to Russia. So Russia upor bahut sanctions lagwa ase aru kune lagaise, many countries, basically the US, Canada, okay. So all the western countries are basically focusing on this country like Russia to have a good sanctions. Avoids collateral damage. Sanctions can be on a way avoiding direct military confrontations, which is be costly and dangerous. And for example, the USA and Europe may impose economic sanctions on Russia to protest its annexation of Crimea. So obviously this is more kotha kolu, okay. Then limitations ki hoy, creates humanitarian crisis. Obviously he country khona to bahut kini manu thake, economic collapse hole tahat survive koribo nware. Hardens the stance of targeted government, yate government ke kaam koribo nware. Government e bahut strong actions lobo lage junlak impact kartat pore citizens support pore, okay. Increase role of third party, kunba beleg ejon khumabo sabo, khumai pelai majot peacefulness anibo sabo ba kiba koribo sabo. So eblak okon problem ta ahi jay, third party actors ahi jay, Okay, black market traders ahi jay, other countries that are willing to float those sanctions, so ebla bostu ahi jay. Ineffective in self-sustaining economy, sanctions can be effective if the targeted country has a strong economy and is able to find alternative markets and sources of funding. So obviously, yeah, ineffectively hoi jay to sustain in this particular arena. So what are the factors contributing to the success or failure of economic sanctions? International support lagibo, yes, tethiahe success hobo. Many countries, they are more likely to be effective. Economic strength লাগিব, obviously এতিয়া যদি পাকিস্তানে আমাৰ ওপৰত sanction লগায় আমি কেতিয়াও নামানো, but USA যদি মানে লগায় তেতিয়াহ'লে আমাৰ কিবা এটা নহয় কিবা এটা impact হ'ব, because they are more economically stronger. Then nature of foreign policy objective, আজি যদি আমাৰ policy approach বিলাক ভাল নহয় তেতিয়া sanctions আহিব, যদি ভাল হয় তেতিয়াও নাই. Okay, then you can see that economic sanctions can be an effective tool for achieving foreign policy, and therefore policymakers should carefully consider the advantages and limitations of this economic sanctions them as a tool of foreign policy, and should also explore alternative strategies for achieving their respective objectives. So ekhini kotha ami with respect to this question likhibo lagibo. Next ahi jao 15 number question. It is almost a year of Taliban rule in Afghanistan. Discuss the current scenario in Afghanistan under the Taliban regime and the significance of Afghanistan for India. Very important question. So eta Taliban ki hoy koila. Okay, moi ekhini gotei nopohu, you will directly look in this PDF. ভালকে পঢ়ি ল'বা, ইসলামিক ফান্ডামেন্টাল পলিটিক্যাল অর্গানাইজেশন লিখা আছে মোৰ। কারেন্ট সিচুয়েশন কি হয় এক্সপ্লেইন কৰি ল'লা। কারেন্ট সিচুয়েশন কি হৈ আছে, ল্যাক অফ ফাইনেন্স, তাহাঁতক পইচা এৰি দিয়া নাই কোনে, ইউএসএ এৰি দিয়া নাই। ওকে, দেন মেনি wealthy peoples and those of the middle class means and education including civil servants fled the country not wishing to be a part of the Taliban regime. Non recognition of regime কোনো আজিলৈকে একসেপ্ট কৰা নাই। ওকে, বহুত মানুহ পলাই গৈছে। ওকে, দেন ইকোনমি একদম কোলাপস। May 2022 report হয়, Taliban presented an annual budget based entirely on domestic revenue. और তাহাঁতৰ domestic revenue কি হয়? Their domestic revenue is opium. Okay, ৰাছিয়াৰ লগত বাৰ্টাৰ চিষ্টেমত চলাই আছে। Okay, যে তহঁতক আমি কি দি আছো, লিথিয়াম আছে বহুত আফগানিস্তানত, তহঁতক আমি লিথিয়াম দি আছো, তহঁতে আমাক ক্ৰুড অইল দে। Okay, but opium through the golden crescent, opium খিনি সব আহি পেলাই পাইছে কোনফালে, ইণ্ডিয়াৰ ফালে। So that is one of the major criteria. That is the domestic produce. Next, security. Security. Taliban regimes nervous about the Daesh or ISKP, that is Islamic State Khorasan province, which has carried out attacks in Kabul with spurting regularity, and the killing of Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri is a Kabul neighborhood by the US has added to the Taliban's insecurity. So obviously, whenever attack or product under fight again. তাহাঁতক মাৰিব পাৰে, তাহাঁতক উঠাব পাৰে তাৰ পৰা। So এইটো এটা ইনসিকিউৰিটি তাহাঁতৰ ওচৰত থাকে, because they do not have got some of the weapons which are very high tech. Then Afghan population and Taliban, though there has not been much change in the Taliban attitude towards civil society from the time to time, there's last rule in Kabul, but unlike 20 years ago, outright brutalities have not been reported yet. A dress code has been prescribed for both men and women, but it is not strictly implemented. The anti-people actions by the Taliban to ban the education of girls beyond class 6 in school, and also to make it difficult for women to work, met with protests by women demanding education, employment and bread. So etu eta choli ase in this particular coming times, when recently the women's has been banned from attaining any forms of education. So yate significance ki ase, amar significance economic or strategic both ase. Main advantage is geography. Okay, as anyone who is in power in Afghanistan control the land routes connecting India with Central Asia. Very important, because I have told you that India has got direct boundaries with Afghanistan, which basically it is under Pakistan occupied Kashmir, or tarpor ami Central Asia connect koribo paro. Okay, then located at the heart of historic Silk Road, Afghanistan has long crossroads of commerce between Asian countries, connecting them to Europe and enhancing religious, cultural and commercial contexts. Tar upor ami bahutkhini development projects ami korai aslo. Supposedly, if I say about the Jalaram highway and the Afghanistan India friendship dam, that is known as the Salma dam. Okay, tar upor amar security interest ase. If I say about the Haqqani network, okay, so hekhiniu ase to prevent Pakistan from setting up a friendly government in Afghanistan. Then to avoid the return of jihadi groups like Al-Qaeda, which could strike in India. So ekhini amar security interest ase with respect to Pakistan, Afghanistan. Our tar karone we need better relations with this regime in the times, and also we must to be strategic interest with this country so that they could have a stabilized type of government in the coming times. So ekhane after the Taliban takeover, India is caught in the middle of the dilemma divided between restoring Afghanistan as a strategic priority in its policy and the practical hurdles on the ground, wherein India needs to cope up with a concrete policy option to deal with Taliban, otherwise it will lose the strategic advantage and high tables wherein the future of Afghanistan will be decided. So enake eta confusion likhi pelai you have to directly end it out. Okay. Okay. Next question. What are the main functions of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC? Explain different functional commissions attached to it. So here is what United Nations Economic and Social Council, which was established by the UN Charter in 1945. So basic definition the UN, United Nations Economic and Social Council. So first, what is the principle? What is the body is all about? So it's a principal body for coordination, policy review. Important educational commissions are the purview of ECOSOC. So here is a Commission on Narcotic Drugs. Very important. Which often meets annually and adopts a range of decisions and resolutions. Then, Commission on Population and Development. So to control the population expansion and the development strategies, we need such number of commission. Then Commission on Science and Technology for Development. Without science and technology, we cannot expect any form of development across the world. Then, if I have to say about Commission for Social Development, it is for the policies of a general character and in particular on all matters in the social field not covered by the specialized intergovernmental agencies. Commissions on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. Okay, so this is basically a commission which will look after every form of activities which are directly associated with crime, and therefore to tackle all such number of crimes, this number of phenomena and councils are very important. Then also they have told about the UN Forum on Forest, which will directly say about the high level intergovernmental policy forum, which may includes all United Nations member states and permanent observers through the collaborative partnership on forest, regional organizations, and also process some of the major groups associated with it. Okay, so it was key around the major groups as well as council which are associated with the ECOSOC, which is known to be one of the very primary organization with respective to the United Nations, and therefore it has been named as United Nations Economic and Social Council. Okay, so that will be, I think, more than sufficient. So this is directly the hint answer which you can study it down. Okay, next question. What is the significance of Asian Development Bank in India, that is the ADB? Also mention its aims and objectives. So what is ADB? So ADB is a regional development bank dedicated to promote economic and social progress in Asia and Pacific, and India is founding member of ADB and has been one of its largest borrowers. Okay, so ADB kotha at a brief sketch at the very first introduction part, and then we have to go with some of the significance of ADB with respective to India. So here the India 2021 ADB product loan ratio record of around $4.6 billion. Okay, including $1.8 billion for coronavirus response and $1.5 billion for vaccine purposes and $300 million for strengthening primary healthcare. This data, very important data I may say about it. Okay, key question India recorded $4.6 billion, including $1.8 billion for coronavirus response, $1.5 billion for vaccine purchases, and $300 million for strengthening primary healthcare. Very, very important. Okay. Next, the ADB's funding assistance to India is given to support transport, urban development, finance, agriculture, and skill development. So ADB also committed millions to private sector projects in for highways improvement, energy efficiency, affordable housing, and increasing farmer incomes. In addition to providing financial assistance, ADB works closely with the Indian government and other stakeholders to promote policy reforms and improve governance. So, ADB only financial assistance. So, financial assistance is though primary, but ADB also works closely with the government of India to include some of the policy reforms and also to project more and more type of governance towards our society. It was a major aspect of core ADB. Okay, so what is the aims and objectives? You can see the major aim of this one is to help monetary and other financial grants, and a major objective is to guarantee that all social sector projects and other development initiatives receive enough financial support in a timely manner. Okay, so the main focus areas very importantly education of environment, climate change and disaster risk management, financial sector development, infrastructure, regional cooperation and integration, private sector lending. Very important. Okay, एक area focus for it. Okay, so overall, ADB's significance in India lies in its role as a key development partner, helping the country to achieve its development goals and promote regional cooperation and integration. So that is how you should go ahead with the conclusion. Okay, next question. What are the key points of the India-Japan Summit 2022? Discuss the past engagements between the two countries. So, here the relationship is India-Japan. So, Ami, Zikita, here questions with respective to countries. So, such countries are recently in news, and therefore, such number of relations between the countries are very, very important. That goes with the bilateral relationships. Okay? Silo bilateral, very important. The friendly relation between India and Japan has a long history rooted in spiritual affinity and strong cultural and civilizational ties. Indian culture filtered through Buddhism has had a great impact on Japanese culture, and this is the source of the Japanese people sense of closeness to India. Okay, so today we have got a very we even know that India's external affairs minister's wife is also a Japanese. Okay, so obviously, so that we have also got a relation of what? It's basically like the relations of India-Nepal. India-Nepal or our relations can be roti-beti wala relations. So even someone from Japan is our Bahu. Okay, so that is the case. And someone from India is basically their Jamai. Okay, so that is one of the important criteria why we have to see all this. So yeah, the key is Japan will invest rupees 3.2 lakh crores in the next 5 years in India. The JICA, 7 JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, loans for projects in connectivity, water supply and sewerage, horticulture, healthcare, and biodiversity conservation in various states. An MOU has been signed to introduce Jokasu technology in India by Japanese companies for decentralized wastewater treatment. Very, very important. So, it's key word, Jokasu. It's a decentralized wastewater treatment company. Okay, for it's a technology. Okay, so it to me, very importantly, that discuss for a question. Then we have to see the Sustainable Development Initiative for the Northeastern region for India, and it has been launched with an eye on India's infrastructure development in the Northeast. So on cybersecurity, the leaders discussed India-Japan digital partnership with a view to enhance the digital economy through promotion of joint projects in the area of Internet of Things, IoT, that is artificial intelligence, and also other emerging technologies. Our cooperation in clean energy, including some of the lithium batteries, including some of the various chips, and also electric vehicle charging, green hydrogen, solar energy, techniques associated with the development of this ammonia. With respectively countries like Japan. Then Mumbai Ahmedabad High Speed Rail MAHAR on Indo-Pacific, even in the railways, even I can say about the connection of the bullet train from from Ahmedabad to Mumbai is also being coming in from Japan. So therefore, totally we are directly going ahead with this practice. Then also Japan is amongst the P4 countries who are demanding a permanent seat in the UNSC. So cooperation okay. Then we can see about that we are going with the squad groups. So we are also going with for the Malabar exercise, which also includes Japan. Okay. Then we are directly a member of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Okay. So which India has not yet signed the treaty, and the Japanese PM stressed the importance of early entry into the force of the CTBT, where we are directly not a member. So on situation in other countries, Ukraine not, so today we can see we are directly going for a peaceful solution for this problem between Russia and Ukraine. China, India informed Japan about the situation in Ladakh, about the attempts of amassing troops and India's talk with China over broader related issues. Okay, because we also know Japan also does not like China. Japan has also got territorial disputes with China. Okay, and also with Russia. Okay, so therefore various kinds of engagement between the two countries many decades old, such as bilateral ties, peace treaty, defense ties, even going for the exercises like Thermogajan, economic ties. Okay, so এইবিলাকৰ কাৰণে আজি আমি জানো that these two countries directly share a good coordination relations today in relation to strategic importance, in relation to economic importance, in relation to various number of developments in science and technology, in relation to their respective space agencies. Supposedly it is called as JAXA. So JAXA and ISRO have बहुत cooperation करे so that they directly engages much more with the respective elements of space explorations. So সেইখিনি কাৰণে আজি আমি জানো যে with the special terms for economic partnership, which is also the STEP, এনেকে আমি এটা process কৰি পেলাই we will directly enhance more the relations between India and Japan. So therefore we have got a good relations today with India and Japan so that we would have a better future with these two countries in relation to various number of R&Ds in every type of departments and fields. Okay. Next, question number 19. Evaluate India's foreign policy towards its neighbors and how it has evolved over time. So it's mainly saying about the India's foreign policies, that how India's foreign policies have changed from the time when we have got a policy of non-aligned and where India today is directly following a policy of energetic engagement with each and every country of the world who has got some of the respective amount of cooperation. So এটা সৰুকে এটা background লিখি দিলে হ'ল, okay, where you can directly say about the history, how India started its foreign policy. So probably the people who have attended my classes, they have said they probably know about the phases of Indian foreign policy. So you can directly mention about the phases of this particular Indian foreign policy. Okay. So what is the evolution of India's foreign policy? How India has switched on from regional cooperation, economic cooperation to a multilateral cooperation. Okay. How India has directly signed various number of treaties and engagements. Okay. Then also you have to say about how India has undertaken a number of steps to improve relations with its neighbor as a part of the neighborhood first policy and also a part of the extended neighborhood policy. So then how we are directly defining ourselves within the ambit of defense cooperation. Okay, how we are directly dealing up with friendlier countries like Nepal and Bhutan. Okay, then also how we are directly going with the littoral states basically in the Indian Ocean region and who has got some type of maritime boundaries with countries like India. So overall, India's foreign policy towards its neighbor has evolved over time with a focus on promoting regional stability, economic cooperation and security. While there have been challenges and conflicts with some of its neighbors, India has continued to engage with through and diplomatic channels and has tried to build stronger relationship based on mutual interest and cooperation. Because without mutual interest and cooperation, you cannot try a relationship for a longer period of time. That is a major aspect of this particular type of relations that we have with this particular countries. Okay? Chalo. Coming to the last question. 28th. Evaluate the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Also evaluate the country's bilateral relations with India. So it's basically saying about one of the neighboring countries, also one of the friendlier countries with India, which I can directly say to be whom? No. India, Sri Lanka. So where is Sri Lanka? So it's basically this country, which often gets showed up in the Indian map. Okay. So Sri Lanka, we know, recently has suffered an economic crisis. Okay, so Sri Lanka has been facing economic challenges in recent years, including high inflation, a large trade deficit, a significant debt burden, and a slow economic growth. In addition, COVID-19 pandemic, political instability, and governance issues have also contributed to the economical crisis. So, if I say about the causes, it's because of the long-term economic mismanagement that we can see with respective to this country. Okay, so debt well infrastructure please. Debt from China, obviously. Okay, because without China, this could not have happened. Okay, that's what immediate causes. Easter bombings in Sri Lanka in 2019 destroyed the country's tourism industry, which is the main source of foreign exchange points, because Sri Lanka is proximately located as an island country in the Indian Ocean. তাৰ কাৰণে আমি জানো যে ইয়াতে tourism to বহুত বেছি familiar. Okay, then we can see about COVID-19 during the pandemic caused worldwide economic slowdown. Many of the abroad Sri Lankan employees lost their employment, and the pandemic has had a negative impact on remittances and other foreign exchange sectors. Then tax reforms. So the Rajapaksa government sweeping tax reforms after 2019 has drastically altered the structure of both indirect and direct taxes. So value-added tax and income tax were reduced, while with VAT on services cut to zero and exemption limit raised to LKR 3 million per annum progressive tax rates caps at 18%. So এইবিলাক যিবিলাক tough decisions লোৱা গৈছিলে with respect to tax reforms. So এইবিলাকে এটা ডাঙৰ impact কৰিলে and this has directly impacted the revenue that what Sri Lanka has got in its economy and this has directly made a wholesome type of collapse that we can see in the coming times with respect to this country. আৰু তাৰ কাৰণে economic collapse টো বহুত ডাঙৰকে হোৱা গৈছে। তাৰপিছত organic farming. So there was a total overnight ban on the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So this has reduced the rice crop and plantation sector, led to decreased revenues, and lack of revenues has caused the debt repayment program to fail, leading to acute shortage of imported fuel, food products, and power. So Amidan, that today we as a country are also focused towards organic farming, and even we have states like Sikkim who has totally focused towards organic type of farming. But still, we have never banned the utilization of what? The utilization of chemical fertilizers. এটিও আমি ব্যান করা নাই, এটিও আমি ইউজ করাই আছো because you cannot go with a complete ban for a specific product within a certain extent of time. Everything directly takes a time period. At a time period sobore lagi. Without that particular time period, it would be very much difficult for us to directly get a balance within the respective economy. So এটো কাৰণে শ্ৰীলংকাই কি কৰিলে অৰ্গানিক ফাৰ্মিং ওপৰত বেছি ধ্যান দি দিলে আৰু তাহাঁতে ওভাৰনাইট এটা ডাইৰেক্ট বেন লগাই দিলে কোৰ ওপৰত কেমিকেল ফাৰ্টিলাইজাৰ্ছ এণ্ড পেষ্টিচাইডৰ ওপৰত যাৰ কাৰণে এটা ডাঙৰ ইম্পেক্ট পৰিলে অন দা ৰেসপেক্টিভ ইকনমি অফ শ্ৰীলংকা ওকে সো এইটো এটা ডাঙৰ এক্টিভিটি হৈছিল সো নাও ইফ আই সি অ্যাবাউট ইন্ডিয়া শ্ৰীলংকা bilateral relations তো তাৰ মাজত কি হয় পলিটিক্যাল ৰিলেশনস ফাৰ্স্ট কামস ইনটু প্ৰমিনেন্স because relationship between the two nations are strengthened via development assistance projects for Sri Lankan underprivileged population and internally displaced peoples. Okay, so ইয়াৰ কাৰণে এটা relationship form হৈছিলে তাৰপিছত India supported Sri Lanka tried to act against terrorist forces and at the same time it conveyed at the highest level in deep concern the plight of the mostly Tamil civilian population, emphasizing their rights and welfare should not get enmeshed in hostilities against the LTT. Okay, so India directly human rights or karno tate bahut khini kotha koisile. Okay, and this could have directly saved various number of Tamils from acting in this particular region. Okay, tarpsot according to the Prime Minister Vikram Singhe, India was the sole nation to assist this country in navigating its ongoing food, fuel and pharmaceutical crisis because amar karone emlak tinta bostu equal hoye ase. Amar karone tinta bostu kono problem nai because we produce a good number of food. Yes, fuel is getting imported, but amar jekhini products hoy petroleum products or something that are maximally produced from India or pharmaceutical to ami ki hoy ami directly father hoy. Okay, ami directly we are directly the kingpin in related to pharmaceutical products. So amar ekhini amar tension nahi. Then commercial relations boli kole India and Sri Lanka signed the India Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement in 1988 which came into force in 2000 provides duty free access and duty preference to goods. Other such initiatives to achieve counter economic integration projects are comprehensive economic partnership agreement and economic and technology cooperation agreement. So egita amar asile with respect to this phenomenon of India and Sri Lanka relations. That's only more trade song. India and Sri Lanka's largest trading partner with a share of 16% in Sri Lanka's total trade with the world. Okay, yes, it's a very important point. So India and Sri Lanka's largest trading partner with a share of 16%. Okay, बहुत ज़्यादा डाउन percentage है alongside the neighbors. Total trade, India has always had a trade surplus with Sri Lanka. India's top 3 import, including ships and boats, residues and waste from the food industries, and coffee, tea, meat, and spices accounting for 56% of total imports. Major criteria. Okay, that's what today we development development cooperation. India grants to Sri Lanka alone amounting to around $570 million, and the overall commitment by government of India is to tune of more than $3.5 million. So some notable grant projects are the 150-bed Dikoya Hospital, livelihood assistance to nearly 70,000 people from fishing and farming community in Hambantota, 150 boats and fishing gear for Mulai Thibu fishermen, various projects for procurement of roll stocks for Sri Lanka, railways setting up for railway workshops, etc. So এই গুটেখিনি আছে তাৰপিছত যদি আমি কালচাৰৰ কথা কওঁ কালচাৰেল এগ্ৰিমেণ্টছটো আমি আছোই we have got a cultural link between this particular two countries. Okay, so ইয়াতে আমি কি কৰিছো Indian government and Sri Lanka government in 1977 at a framework sign korisile culture exchange program karone and Buddhism is a strong link between India and Sri Lanka today. Okay, which relics from Kapila Vastu being exhibited in both the countries. Then Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center which promotes people to people contacts between India and Sri Lanka. Also India recently in 2015 introduced the e-tourist visa program for visitors from Sri Lanka. That is one of the major criteria. Okay, that's what security karone ame bahut kini concern kori asu military exercise called Mitra Shakti and the naval exercise called Slenix defense teams from two nations directly participate in various number of security conclaves. Okay, and also India has emphasized the need for national reconciliation through a political resolution of the current difficulties, which is consistent with democracy, pluralism, and respect for human rights. So, আজি আমিও বহুতখিনি ক্ষেত্ৰত তাহাঁতক শিকাব লগা হৈছে that how you should directly promote a good number of these areas where we have to focus much more towards the element of democracy, okay, and also with respect to various number of pluralism that we can see in the coming times in this particular country that is basically an island country. Okay, so therefore today if I have to see about the nations, these two nations who have their own goal and their own concerns, today this country as a whole being situated in the region of Indian Ocean, they have approximately major relations that needs to be found out once you are having a good relation with this country. See, Sri Lanka is a country for which, for India, the security of this nation directly depends on a country which is basically Sri Lanka. And even I'm not saying that Sri Lanka is only important, even the country like Maldives is also important because it is strategically located in a very in a region which is today focused much towards trade and economy activities. That is the Indo-Pacific region. So তার কারণে আজি আমার Sri Lanka খন বহুত important হয়, and therefore with both nations having their own goals and concerns, the bilateral relations between India and Sri Lanka are complicated yet. However, both nations have stated a desire to uphold close ties and collaborate on matters of shared interest. So today for this respective activity, we can see that how we could be more useful, how this could be more important when we are directly telling about the relations between India and Sri Lanka. So without having a good reconciliation factor, without having a good terms, without having a good relation and cooperation, we cannot enhance the relationship that we have between India and Sri Lanka, and that is in the coming times we need a country like Sri Lanka in our neighborhood which is more peaceful, more balanced, and also follows the rule of law. Okay, so ekini asile about India Sri Lanka. Okay, so this is with the today's analysis. So if you have got any problems, and also if you want to join our mains batch which is starting from 5th of this May, dedicatedly for the people who are appearing for this mains, we will directly go ahead with some of the important topics, okay, where some important elements of the topics will be discussed to you along with a proper guidance of how to appear for the upcoming mains and how you should directly have a proper type of analysis towards writing your answers. So এই গোটেই কথাখিনি আমি ডিসকাস কৰিম in the upcoming programs that we are launching from 5th. Okay, so if you have any queries associated with this particular program, you can scan this particular code and also call us by this number 91275-15541 so that you could directly come and join us in our institute and also can collaborate with various other programs that we have today. We have packed for you in the coming times. Okay, so that is all for today from my side. Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you.